What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we actually have an ROG Strix 3090 graphics card that, I mean, if you can tell, the fans move fine, but the fan on the left, after a certain amount of time running, it starts rattling. It makes a weird rattling noise, which I cannot recreate here. It just randomly happens when it's running in the computer. So we're just gonna go ahead and change that out. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to turn this completely around, and we are going to be taking off this back plate. So every single screw that you see back here, except for these four, is going to come off because we have to get to 4 little screws that are on the inside of this so we can remove the front. For the first screws that I took out, I was actually using a PH0. You can use a PH1 as well. For the top ones here, we're going to go ahead and change to a Torx T5. Now that you have the screws out, there is going to be thermal pads holding this down, so we're going to have to try to pry this open. Slowly. There we go. See? That's it. Alright, so after looking at it, these 2 screws back here are going to be very easy to get to. You can actually see them. There's one right down there. There's the other one right down there. Those are the 2 that we have to take out, but we also have to take out the 2 up here. The problem with that is that there's one way down there, right there, and then the other one is here. So the one on this side, I'm actually able to loosen it up just by sticking my screwdriver there. The one from here, though, I cannot, because there's a shroud right here, and I also can't go through the board. So it looks like we actually have to take off the board itself so we can get to that spot. So all right, we're gonna have to do that. So we're gonna go ahead and disconnect the back here. Let me turn this a bit. I'm right-handed, so it's a little harder for me to do it with my left. There we go. And that's actually what the fans are connected to. And now we are going to take off the first 4 screws here at the top. So that's one. We're actually going to use PH0 for this, I believe. Yeah, PH0. So this also means that now you have to make sure that you have thermal paste to re-thermal paste the graphics card chip, because once it's disrupted, it's not going to sit exactly the same anymore. This is my card, so I'm not worried about the sticker, but if you're worried about the sticker, you could try to remove it without puncturing it. So just as before, there are going to be thermal pads on this on the other side, so it's going to be a little difficult to pry this open. So just take it slow, though. We see a connection here. We're not going to pry from this side. We're actually going to pry from the other side. And again, do it slowly. Let's take this off. This is actually attached to the thing here, to the rest of the board. For some other graphics cards, this is actually attached to the shroud, but this is actually attached to the board. So let's take these off, and this is why you never just pull on something, and actually make sure that you're not attached to something else that's important. So the I/O shield is going to come off. All right, now that we have this off, this should actually pry now. Okay. There we go. You see, here's the connection that I was talking about. We didn't want to rip that. That's why we did it from the other side. And there's a thermal paste that we have to replace now that we opened this. So now that we're in here, we do have the ability to reach the 4 screws that we need to get out. So we're going to go ahead and do that and then get the fans changed out. All right, so I need to get the shroud off. For right now, I'm going to reclose this. But again, I got to go back and redo the thermal paste on it before I finish it off. But just to kind of keep everything safe, we're We're going to replace that on there. Turn this around. And this should technically come off now. There we go. Nice. There is a connector, I believe, here. We don't necessarily have to take that completely off. We can detach it if we need to, but for me, I'm just going to just lay it down like this carefully. And then we're going to be working on the left fan right there. And for that, it's just going to be 4 screws that need to come out. We'll replace the fan. We'll reconnect it to the rest of them. And that should be it. We got to put everything back together afterwards. This comes off. Disconnect. That's the bad fan. We'll put the good fan back on. And now we're going to work backwards, put the screws in, and put it all back together. And don't forget to put your 4 screws back on. So we're going to pry this back open, just like that. And we're going to put the 4 screws back on that were on there before. Okay, so before we continue, I'm going to have to wipe off all the thermal paste off both the actual heatsink and the chip, and then replace it. For this, all you need is just a paper towel. It should come right off. It should be clean enough. Now we're going to put brand new thermal paste on it and then close it back up. Alright, don't forget to plug in your fans again and then put everything back together. For the tension bracket, I like to slightly start one side, then I like to go all the way across to the other side. Slightly put it on, then work my way to the next corner, and then back to the next corner, and then slowly continue tightening them up. So try to get them as even as possible. Now, don't forget to mention, if you wanted to change your thermal pads while you're here, you could. I mean, you already have it open. Kind of makes sense to change them out. I'm going to leave the ones that are already there. I know there's a little damage on this one, a little damage on that one, but the piece is still where it needs to be, so it should be fine. But if you wanted to change them, you definitely could change them. Alright, we got it on a test bench. We see that all 3 fans are spinning. I don't hear any weird noises. I'm going to run a few benchmarks on it just to make sure that the thermal paste and everything is good. But yeah, that's what it takes to change the fan out of the ROG Strix 3090. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Just a heads up, I actually took the sticker off and put it back on because it looked like the fan was wiggling. Because I guess the manufacturer didn't really put it on straight enough, so it looked super strange while it was spinning. But it's good now. Yeah. Test bench.